So thank you, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Practical Broker Podcast on our short 555 series where we interview some of the fantastic experts we have in Canada for some really practical advice. Chad Robinson here, your host of the Practical Broker Podcast and mortgage broker extraordinaire, focusing on self-employed and construction mortgages. Today, we have two very special guests, and I'm really excited to have these guests on the show today. A lot of my clients and small business owners are really thinking, and they're talking to me all the time, and I see a lot of chatter about what do we do now? When is it okay to start calling our clients? And when is it okay to start the marketing again? And how is sales going to be different in the next, 2, 3, 4 months from now? What's the new world going to look like? It's definitely different than it was 2 months ago. And we're really blessed today to have these two sales and marketing experts on our call. So the first expert here is Jeremy Demerchant. He is CEO and founder of Permission to Sell. He's also a host of a TV show on Headspace TV called Sales Team Rescue, which I love to hear about a little bit more. And he's also an author. Our other guest today is Matt Thibeau of Savant Marketing. And if you're from the Ottawa area, you've probably definitely heard of Matt as well. And he's also an author, the creator of the 7-step sales process, and he's been on numerous TV and radio shows as well. So I'm really blessed to have two high-profile members today on our show. So Matt, why don't you take it off and say hi to our guests and how you think the new world of marketing is going to look.
Well, thanks a lot, Chad. I'm excited to be on here too, so I appreciate the opportunity. So yeah, I mean, obviously right now with everything that's happening with COVID, the landscape has changed, and how marketing has definitely changed, right? I know for myself personally, because I work with a bunch of clients, we're doing lead generation. A lot of people are scared that marketing right now is going to send the wrong message, right? Perhaps that marketing right now is going to make you look maybe like you're in bad taste, or, selling right now might be, maybe you're not allowed to sell. Jeremy's company is called Permission to Sell, which I love because it's like right now it's like you also have permission to do marketing, right? Just because this is happening doesn't mean you can't market. Right. And a lot of people ask me right now, they're saying like, if it's one thing right now that I could do that would really impact my business in terms of a marketing perspective, I would say is if you're still able to operate your business, if you're still considered an essential service, then you need to communicate with your clients, and you also need to communicate with people who don't know you that you're actually still open for business, right? It sounds so simple, but so many people right now are assuming pretty much like, I don't know if this person's open, I'm just gonna wait. We work with a lot of construction businesses, helping them with lead generation, and a lot of the leads that are coming in are actually like, initially when this was happening, they were saying like, I'm not sure if you're open or not, but I need help with this. Right. So we immediately adjusted all of our messaging to say like, we're open and we're taking all the measures, to help you out, and help you with these essential services. And then all the non-essential services, at least communicate with them, and then you book the job out or book that out, right? And so right now is a time definitely to over communicate with your marketplace.
Absolutely. Are you noticing the same thing, Jeremy?
Yeah, well, you asked, when is it okay to go back to marketing and selling? And just to be clear, it was never okay to stop.
Right.
My company's called Permission to Sell because before you get permission from your audience to sell them, you need to give yourself permission to sell. And what we're stuck in is a big mind game. Right. We're so worried that someone will be offended because we're going to go promote. One thing's for sure, advertising is cheaper right now, right? Mm-hmm. Facebook ads are a lot cheaper. And I know that's Matt's world, but it's because there's less people wanting to advertise. So great, stand out, get out there. And to Matt's point, you need to over communicate to your audience. You need to over communicate to your existing and past clients. A strategy that I've shared with a lot of groups is make a list of every person you've ever worked with, and call them. Don't just message them, call them. Hey, wanted to check in. I know things are kind of going crazy out there. Wanted to know if there's anything that I could do or someone in my network could do to help you out. Mm-hmm. And if you just throw out that olive branch just to build a connection, you're not looking for sales, you're looking for relationships. Because when this gets back to whatever the new normal is, if you've stopped marketing and selling, you're starting from scratch on building some of these relationships. Right. So why not reach out when people want that connection? We're trapped in our, maybe I shouldn't use the word trapped, but we're quarantined in our homes. We've got, 6 feet from each other, and all we want to do is have connection right now. Let you and your brand be part of the connection people get to satisfy that need. And you're going to be the one that they think of as soon as they can go back to buy your service. So even if you're not an essential service, get your brand out there, get in front of those ideal clients. But you're right. People are stopping. People are scared that they're going to offend somebody, that it's going to look tacky to be promoting. But your audience needs you now more than ever. And if somebody sees you as taking advantage of an opportunity, just say, yeah, I am. All my competition's taking a break. Right? They're all playing Scrabble at home, and I'm sitting there still hustling. Who do you want to be your service provider?
For sure. I was on a call with some of the heads of the companies in the mortgage world a few days ago, and one of the things they were saying in our industry is that most of the mortgage broker world has been paperless or close to paperless for a long, long time. And we're used to working remotely, where the traditional banks are not. Go see me in the branch, and their whole infrastructure just can't pivot as quickly as some smaller independent businesses like all of us can. And to go out there, and it's okay to say that, to say, hey guys, I can sign you virtually, I can meet you virtually, we can do a Zoom call. We don't have to go through 7 layers of bank security to have a Zoom call. And I love your point. That's fantastic. So Jeremy, what else are you seeing, or Matt, what else are you seeing? Any shift in messaging other than just saying we're open? Is that your short-term strategy with your clients?
So then another shift that I would say right now that's working really well is, when people want to do a promotion, usually what they'll think is automatically is like, let's do some kind of like discount service or something like let's do like a special of like, 10% off, 15% off. I see that all the time, especially with contractors. And, it's not really their fault because they just don't really know what else to do. They're just looking at what everyone else is doing and they're thinking, well, maybe that's what I should do. But what we found what works really, really well actually is to instead promote some kind of unique selling proposition around service or warranty or some kind of guarantee. So what I would recommend that you look really specifically at is what kind of value can I add instead of discounts from my price that can incentivize someone perhaps to put down a deposit right now or for someone to move forward if you are an essential service. So these are the kind of ways that I like to incentivize people to take action now, because the fact of the matter is that a discount right now, especially if it's something like 10% or 20% or whatever, it's not really going to make the difference, because if someone's hitting you up right now to potentially do business with you or buy from you, they're probably in the position financially where they can invest anyway, right? And so what I would recommend right now is to incentivize people to put down deposits or to work with you by adding value instead.
Absolutely. That's great advice.
Yeah.
For sure. Jeremy, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, in that same vein, I mean, even with existing clients, there's a good chance your clients, if you work, no matter who you work with, they're feeling some type of pinch or strain. And so if you have the opportunity, if you can create a win-win situation based on the challenges they're facing. I mean, the more compassionate you can be in the situation, the more people will appreciate you as well. So my focus is, how do I create goodwill? How do I create good karma? And in some cases, if it's someone that has like a higher end deal or there's some ongoing financial relationship, what can I do to add an extra few months of service onto the other end right now as a bonus? If you give me the first 12 months worth of, payments or whatever up front. Like, how can you make this a win-win? Because right now for a business, creating cash in your business right now is really, really valuable, because everything that you want to invest money on is getting cheaper right now. And so it's kind of an aside, but if you can create that scenario where you've got more cash flow today, you can go and put it in things that you would not have access to you wouldn't have had 12 months ago. So that's one piece. The other thing on the sales side that I want to add around messaging, and I don't want to take credit for this, I got these messaging tips from a few mentors, but when we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're familiar with it, we often sell to like, where do you want to be? It's the aspirational things. You're not typically selling to the bare minimum human needs, because most people have those covered.
Right.
And now for the first time in a long time, the majority of the population is saying, am I going to stay healthy?
Yeah.
How do I make, and they're going down to the bottom tiers of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so the messaging needs to shift, not from, from buying the big extravagant experience to, we got you covered. We can help you be safe. We've got a plan, follow us.
Right.
And it's almost like you need to become the Advil or Tylenol to the headache, not the proactive hydrate in advance and get lots of sleep so you don't get the headaches. There's a pain now, and you might need to adjust your messaging to solve that pain today. And then once you've earned that trust and built that relationship, then it's, hey, how do we make sure this pain doesn't come back 12 months from now?
That's a really good point. I love that.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Market to the, do you have enough toilet paper?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to add too something just kind of based off of what Jeremy was saying. Like right now, relationships are so important, and I've been kind of like calling it relationship equity.
Right.
And I think it was maybe a week ago or so, just because I had some extra time in my schedule, I made a post in a couple groups, and I said, I'd love to connect with some of you guys. Let's do some phone calls. And my calendar actually got like completely filled up with phone calls. And I remember chatting with some people, and they were like, man, like, you're just going to end up talking to like a bunch of people, who are kind of depressed or whatever, and like waste a bunch of time and all this stuff. But it was actually the exact opposite. I was able to make some incredible connections doing that. And, I'm sure there's probably going to be some kind of business opportunities that come out of it, but that wasn't so much my intention. My intention was just to connect with people, because right now, like Jeremy was saying, like we have a great opportunity to maybe not make a sale right away, but you can make a relationship with someone that's going to turn into something potentially later down the line too, right? And so it's always good to right now, I would say it's, if you can't make a sale right now, at least set yourself up for one.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are, they're shifted, right? As you were mentioning, both of you guys is, they might be at home. They might not be working. Now's a good time to actually reach out and talk to them. They're not going out anywhere. The schedules are definitely not as busy as they were before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very neat. I heard you and I talked about this a little while ago too, with some Facebook and Google advertising. There's a way, and on the technical side, please jump in here, that you can market to your own client list as well. There's a little bit of a different strategy for that.
Yeah, so if you want to market to your client list, what's really cool is if you have an email list, right? And so let's say that you got an email list of, 2,000 emails of past clients and maybe some people in your CRM. What's cool about all these online marketing channels like Google and Facebook is you can take that list and just upload it within that platform and target specifically those people. And it's actually a lot cheaper to do that because these platforms don't have to work so hard to find those people. So you're just basically giving it to the platform and saying, here, show it to these people. So it's a very effective strategy if you do have a list. A lot of small businesses don't always have a list, or they don't have permission to use that data. But if you have that data and you have a list and you have permission to use it, then it is a very effective strategy to use. And another effective strategy right now is just email marketing too, right? If you have a list of emails, like you can definitely, it doesn't take you much more time, maybe 20 minutes to write up an email and tell your clients that you're open right now.
Especially if you can send that email without using phrases like COVID-19.
Yeah.
Coronavirus. Yeah. If you can leave out the buzzwords,
that's so true.
And actually make it a positive experience for them, it's a lot more welcoming.
That is true.
Of seeing that in the
if I see COVID in a subject line, I'm like, delete.
Yeah.
I think I sent a couple emails with that in there.
I think I'm on your email list. Yeah, you did.
So Jeremy, we were just talking about how your business is transitioning in this time, and you've started doing that over the last little while as well, into more sales teams or back to sales teams. And how is that rolling out, or what do you envision sales teams in the next 3, 6, 8 months? Obviously, that door-to-door sales is going to be different. That's not really going to be as profound as it was before. What are you anticipating?
Well, so it's interesting because I understand why you say that. And there's going to be some, like what tends to happen is we get so tied up in tech. So all the sales teams right now, they're virtual. And some of my greatest opportunities, because I've been running virtual sales teams for my company, for other companies for the past 6 years.
Right.
And before that was, in-house teams in a building. people don't know how to run remote teams. People don't know how to build the accountability, and people don't know how to keep the communication open. They don't know how to create the water cooler moments that build relationships between team members when you're not in the same room. Right. So there's a huge opportunity there. But one of the key things that I think that we tend to overlook is as technology comes in and makes certain things a lot easier for us, those old school methods of picking up the phone or knocking on the door, although you might be wearing gloves when you knock on the door and maybe you've got them, but those things will still work. They won't work maybe as well as they did in the 80s when everybody knocked on doors, because people are like, oh, why is there a stranger at my door? If you don't have a package for me from Amazon, I don't want to let you, I don't want to open the door. But it's a way to stand out. And I've heard of people, I mean, this was before the crisis, if you will. Before that, people would go and say, hey, I've got an install job on this street. I'm going to go around to all the neighbors and just say, hi, just let you know I'm with ABC Company. We're doing a job over here at Mr. Smith's house. And just let me know personally if there's any problems, if our trucks are in your way, just let me know. By the way, while we're in town, we're actually giving a discount for anyone locally here that also wants a similar.
That's really cool.
And you can do that door knocking when you're across the street, because as an essential service, in the scenario I'm thinking of is actually an HVAC company, but any similar services, you're not going to get scared away from crossing the street, especially if you're an essential service right now and you're still able to do business.
Absolutely. That's a really great tip. And so really what I'm hearing from both of you guys is go deep on the relationships, get that human connection and really, it sounds kind of silly, but back to the grassroots, pick up the phone. If it is an opportunity to knock on the door or, and build a human connection.
Well, and I think one of the things we forget is that this thing in our hands, this can make phone calls. It's not just for Netflix, or texting or Facebook messaging or WhatsApp or whatever. It's for phone calls. And that can create relationships in ways that we seem to have forgotten.
Yeah. And I also want to share something too that I've been experimenting with and seeing some really good results with, is because right now so many people are at home and they're on social media. A lot of the content that you're seeing on there is all COVID-19 stuff. But right now on social media is actually a very good time to build authority for yourself. And what I mean by that is, because everyone's sitting at home and they're on social media, if you're posting content that's authority building content right now, over time, that's going to be building that relationship and trust. And so when that's out, when this all ends, then you're going to be the person who's on their mind. So then someone would ask me, well, then how do I build authority? Like, what's the best way to build authority, Matt? Right. Well, lots of people, the first way is just through your education. Lots of people they're doing podcasts like this and just kind of talking. And that's one level for sure. But there's several other levels of building authority when you use proof. So what I mean when I talk about proof is maybe proof of results. So you can show some awesome client testimonials. Another one that's very, it's kind of underrated is just proof that you practice what you preach. What I like to do is, in all my marketing stuff that I teach people, I actually like to kind of swing it around and demonstrate the actual teaching through what I'm doing. And so when people see that, they're actually going to be like, wow, you really practice what you preach. And that is a level of proof there, which translates directly into authority, So some ways that can be kind of translated into a construction business is maybe posting some pictures of happy client testimonials, some pictures of your past work, talking about some maybe awards that you've won, talking about maybe some give back stuff that you're doing for the community for construction, so you're really practicing what you preach, you're really putting some goodwill out there. And all this stuff really builds up, and you'd be surprised how many people are watching right now.
Absolutely.
And one thing I want to add, and I'm going to put you on the spot, Matt. One of the best things that I see Matt do in his own marketing is using Facebook stories, because these are essentially the billboard of 2020.
It's crazy, man, how well that works.
Yeah. And Matt, you're a master at it. I've looked and said, hey, go watch Matt Thibeau. He's got this figured out. not saying copy, but you know.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's funny. That's something I haven't used in my business at all. I've been very reticent to use Facebook stories, and I'm not sure why.
But and how often do you log into Facebook? You've got a few minutes to kill for some reason. You click on somebody's little circle, then you just let the stories come to you, and you'll stay there for 5, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I just personally use it as a feed for proof over and over and over again. And then my content that I'm putting out is kind of like the thing that brings people in. And so then the stories are kind of the lead generator too, because people will see that. And it's almost now to the point where if I put out like a row of a bunch of stories, I get at least one reply and a lead from it. So another tip. It's more tactical tip, but yeah, you know, it all comes back to proof.
That's great. Well, guys, listen, let's very quickly wrap it up here with one small tidbit from each of you left. And then you guys are both so amazing in wealth of knowledge. I think our listeners would really love to have you on another show in the future as a deep dive where we go really into some technical and some tips on a deep dive. But for today, Jeremy, as a wrap up, you know, what's the one thing all small business should be doing in the next, you know, let's call it 30 days?
Don't stop promoting, whether it's creating authority on social media or actually calling your existing or past customers. You need to be building that relationship equity, as Matt said, and give yourself permission to sell right now in this market because your audience needs it.
Absolutely. Great words. Absolutely. Matt?
Yeah, just something really similar along those lines. And, you know, also take the time right now to really step back away from your business and maybe look at how you're positioning yourself in the marketplace, right? Like look at what your messaging is, look at all that stuff, because I guarantee you after this, a lot of companies are going to be shifting their messaging, whether it's more online or, you know, their strategies of how they're marketing. So take this time to, you know, if you're a non-essential business and you're sitting at home twiddling your thumbs, you're wasting some valuable time to be strategizing, maybe brainstorming. So take advantage of the time.
Absolutely. That's great advice, guys. Thank you so much. For all of our listeners, Matt and Jeremy's contact information, their websites will all be in the show notes below. Please make sure everybody subscribes. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Cast, whichever your listening choice is. And please make sure you subscribe and support your local businesses, everyone. Especially now and going forward, local businesses are going to be key. Thank you very much, guys, and have an amazing day.
Thanks,
Thank
Chad,
you.
too.